Stephanie with So Make It. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Welt Zipper Pocket. Here's an example of one that I have placed on the interior of a bag. Zip, unzip, and have your zipper pocket there.
So what we'll need for the Welt Zipper Pocket is a piece of fabric for the pocket lining, some interfacing, I use Pellon 809, and a piece of fabric for the exterior or the lining of the bag, depending on where you'd like to place the pocket, and a zipper. I usually use a zipper that's a little bit longer than the opening that I need. You'll need some pins and some scissors. Right here I am attaching the interfacing to the fabric. The interfacing has a shiny side and a dull side. This shiny side is where the glue is. You want to make sure that that's the side facing your fabric. Make sure to put the interfacing on the wrong side of your fabric and go ahead and iron it on. I'm pretty lazy with interfacing. I have a lot of scrap pieces laying around that works for my bags, so I'll just get a piece that's close, go ahead and attach it, and then get the ends trimmed off to where it lines up with my fabric. Certain bag patterns will call that you put the interfacing inside of the piece of fabric to allow for the seam allowance, so that that interfacing isn't in the seam allowance to reduce bulk. So if you have a bag pattern that calls for that, go ahead and follow those instructions. That'll make your life easier down the line. This is just a general tutorial on how to actually install the Welt Zipper Pocket. So I am trimming that interfacing. So it's not sticking out. It'll help me line things up later when I'm ready to put my bag together. And if you'll notice, along the corner it isn't attached very well. I just didn't get really close to the edge because I didn't want all the glue to gum up on my iron. Once I get those edges trimmed, I'll go back and press it down a little bit better. I'll get over to the edges. The next thing that I do is to make a mark for my pocket placement. I usually go 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 inches below the top, and I'll just make a straight line there. This is going to allow me to attach the pocket, and it's going to be straight when I attach it. Here I'm just going to mark the center line where I want my zipper opening to be. So I'm going to make a mark all the way across the fabric. And this is going to be the center of the zipper opening. Now I'm going to determine the size of the box that I need to accommodate the zipper. I'm going to start by just marking the center line. You can definitely fold the fabric in half from side to side to find the center if you'd like. I'm just going to make a mark here. This fabric is about 10 inches wide. I make it a little bit thinner than the exterior lining. The zipper that I'm using is a number 3 zipper. So I can have about 1/4 of an inch above and below the center line. I am using a 9-inch zipper. The finished zipper will be about 6 inches long. We'll just trim off the excess. I do use nylon zippers. You can sew easily over them. You just have to kind of slow down a little bit. So now I'm going to mark the end of the box where we're going to sew to make the zipper opening. I want this zipper to be about 6 inches finished. So I'll just line the ruler up on that line that we marked, find my center point, and I want to mark about 3 inches on both sides. And that's going to be the end of the box where we stop sewing. Then I'll line the ruler up to make a 1/4 of an inch mark above the center line and a 1/4 of an inch mark below the center line. I'm just using the lines on my ruler to measure that. So now I have the box. I'm going to go ahead and mark the end a little bit darker so I know I'm not going to miss it when I'm sewing. And this is where we're going to sew around to form the opening for the welt pocket. Now we're going to attach the pocket lining to the exterior or lining panel where we drew the line earlier. We'll be able to line up the fabric perfectly. We're going to sew around the box that we drew. When you do this, you want to make sure that your right sides of fabric are together. They're facing each other. I'm just going to place a couple of pins in the fabric just to hold them together so they don't shift when we're sewing. I will go ahead and just place a pin on each side. I'll place it out of the way. I won't have to worry about moving it while sewing. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew the box to form the opening for the Welt Zipper Pocket. Place the fabric under the machine. Line the needle up with the line that you've drawn. Start sewing. Go ahead and back stitch, and then just continue along the line that we drew for the box. When you get to the end, you'll go ahead and stop. Make sure your needle's down. Turn the fabric. Put your presser foot down and sew along the end of the box. You'll get to the bottom line for the box. Put your needle down, raise your presser foot, and turn. And you'll continue sewing down that line. I did have some black thread today, so we'll go ahead and you'll be able to see it a little bit better. You're going to come to the end of the box again. Put your needle down, press your foot up, turn, and sew. When I make the Welt Zipper Pockets, I do like to turn again at the top and just retrace the stitches that I made and backstitch. Go ahead and cut your thread.
Now that the box is sewn, go ahead and remove the pins and then mark from the center line to each corner Just going to cut along those lines in a moment, so we want to have a clear marking. Going to cut. Try to make that center line a little bit brighter so you can see it better.
So now that we have the pocket marked, we'll go ahead and fold the fabric in half and make a starting cut along that center line. Unfold it, and then you're going to cut through both layers of fabric, going up into the lines that we marked for the corner. Be careful not to cut your stitching. Then I'll just flip it around and do the same thing on the other end. Cut all the way up the center line and into each corner. If you do happen to cut through the stitching, just put it back on the machine and reinforce the area that you cut. And now you have something that looks like this. The next step will be to push the pocket lining through the hole. Pull it all the way through, making sure that the lining is all on the back of the panel that you're working with. And then you'll just decide if you want the lining showing or not showing. So you'll just work with that fabric until you get the desired look you want. I kind of like the pocket lining showing. It gives a little bit of a design element, especially if it's a contrasting color. But completely up to you. You'll just determine that, and then we'll take it to the iron, flatten everything down.
Now that it's pressed flat, we're ready to start pinning the zipper into place. You'll notice on the back side, it doesn't look as good as the front. This is going to be on the inside of the pocket, so nobody's ever going to see that. As long as the front looks nice and your pocket lining is kind of pressed out of the way, you're going to be able to catch it and make sure that the pocket closes properly. So no worries if the inside doesn't look perfect. I'm going to lay the zipper over the top of the hole that I've sewn, just to make sure that I have enough zipper tape to catch the zipper when I sew it in. I measured it properly for the size of zipper that I'm using, so it fits just fine. Go ahead and put the zipper under the fabric. Place a pin on the end. And then place a pin on the top and the bottom to hold the zipper into place. So now that the top and the bottom is pinned, I'm going to move to the other end of the zipper.
On this end, I do want to make sure that I open up the zipper. I want to make sure the zipper pull is in the opening that we've created for the zipper. If you leave it on the outside and sew the zipper in, your zipper will not be usable. Then I'll go ahead and pin the top and bottom of that end of the zipper. Now we're ready to take it to the machine to sew all the way around. You want to be careful not to sew over the zipper stop. That will break a needle. Make sure that that's out of the way. Line up the end of the box with the needle. Remove the pin and start sewing. Be sure to back stitch here. And you should sew an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch allowance, just depending on the look that you're going for. When you get to the end, you'll put your needle down, raise the presser foot, and turn the fabric. You'll be lined up right along the edge of the zipper tape and the Welt Zipper Pocket box that we've sewn. And you'll just sew straight down that edge. As you come to the pin, go ahead and slow down and remove the pin. And continue to sew. When you get close to the zipper pull, put your needle down, raise the presser foot, and move the zipper pull out of the way. This just helps you keep your seam straight. You go all the way to the end of the box, put your needle down and raise your presser foot and turn the fabric. Remove the pin and sew down the end of the box. This is the side where the zipper is unzipped, so it is separated. So be very careful to make sure that you keep the zipper lined up when you remove the pin. Kind of go slower over the teeth. Once you are at the end of the box, you'll go ahead and put your needle down, raise the presser foot, and turn the fabric again. Double check that your pocket lining didn't get up in the area that you're stitching. Sew on down that bottom side, removing the pin as you go. Again, when you get to that zipper pull, go ahead and raise your presser foot and just get it out of the way. Back at the end, go ahead and back stitch to finish it off. Cut your thread. Now that we have everything sewn in place, you can just flip it around and trim the excess zipper off. It'll just reduce bulk in your bag. So to finish it off, we're just going to take the pocket lining and fold it from the bottom to the top to meet itself. Place a couple of clips to hold it together. And we'll sew it up. Now that we're at the machine, we'll go ahead and sew around the three sides. As you sew along all of the sides, you'll make sure that the other fabric is out of your way. So you'll just kind of fold it out of the way so that you're not sewing on it. You'll start sewing, you'll backstitch at the beginning and the end. Now that the pocket's sewn together, just trim the excess fabric off. This will reduce bulk when you put it in your bag. So just trim all the way around. And now we have a Welt Zipper Pocket. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.